Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. I just woke up.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Squad Central. Hopefully everyone's woken up after that absolute Snorefest. At ease, squaddies, at ease. Thank you so much for joining. I think that Arsenal fans are super over the Premier League season. I can tell you that because I see it in the numbers and how many people are watching shows and how people are engaging. And I think that Arsenal fans have lost the will to live in the Premier League this season. And it's because of performances like that where you just kind of feel indifferent. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but honestly, I'm not going to lie. It's an effort right now to do post-game shows. It really is. And mainly because I don't want to keep talking about the same thing. It's boring. And if you're listening on replay, thank you. If you're listening on our audio platforms, thank you. And coming into live chat, thank you. It's hard work. It really is. And I'm just so bored with the way we play football. And it's got nothing to do with Kai Havertz and Saka missing. It really doesn't. It's just so boring. So let's say hi to everyone in chat. Our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels, thank you so much for always keeping your eye on things. Kevin, plus everyone else when they turn up, probably asleep after that second half. Yes, Kevin. PW, Iyaso, Diganis, Ugo Kochu, hello to you too. Harvey, George Graham in the crowd, lovely to see him. Yes, it was lovely to see him. G-Star, boring Arsenal, and George Graham was falling asleep. Cross Jonky, Dower. Miss Melina, good evening to you as well. Summit Odo, cheer up, so for God's sakes, come on. I love it when people tell me to cheer up. I'm a happy person. I'm all right. I'm just bored. I mean, I'm not going to come on here and fake it and be all like, oh my God, wow. I'm happy that we prevented losing back-to-back London derbies at the Emirates for the first time ever. That's a good stat for everyone. David says at ease squaddies. It's slow playing. It really, really is. AJ says, Sophie, I'm surprised you're awake and able to stream following that game. Thank you very much for recognizing that. Matt G, boring, but I'll take the win. And that's what I kind of put in the headline is, boring Arsenal. The Premier League is a Snorefest, but a win is a win. And I think that's all we can, take from that. The attack needs revamp heavily. Yeah, we're spent. We're absolutely spent. We got very little to give right now. And, going to have to play a lot better than that if we want to get through 2 legs against Real Madrid in the Champions League. 1-0 with George in the stands isn't terrible, I guess. I love it. Wes Bird, afternoon, Sophie, and all you super squaddies. Good to see you. Marcus, keeping it real. Yeah, smash and caress the likes. Support this great podcast that costs you absolutely nothing. That is the best news of the day. That is the best advice of the day. Right, let's get stuck into some of the talking points. The other thing too, when I was putting the thumbnail together, I always like to use images from the game, that reflect the game, the story, the narrative. And Mikel Merino, I think, is the one that deserves to be on there. But again, just because I was like, I can't even find, like, there was a couple of good pictures of him celebrating and stuff like that. And I put Odegaard and Martinelli on there because I actually felt like in the first 20, 25 minutes, there was a fluidity to what we were trying to do. But that final ball, when you need it most, it's just lacking. And I made a couple of notes here. I don't usually, but because things were annoying me quite a bit, I made a few notes. I'll just read them to you and then we can talk about it. Trossard takes really bad shots. He takes really bad shots. I don't know what he's thinking. I really don't. And it just seems like so desperate, trying to make something happen. And in moments, I think we just look desperate to try and make something happen in a game instead of trusting like how we play, how we move. And I understand like there's a lack of movement up front and we don't find the spaces that we usually do when we have our regular three up front. I think that for everyone who thought Kai Havertz stifled the forward line for being slow, as much as he got the goal today, and if that's how we want to play for the rest of the season, fine by me. 1-0, boring Arsenal, get a goal from Mikel Merino. But he stifles the link-up play. And I put Odegaard on the thumbnail because I thought he had a much better game today, albeit he gave the ball away a couple of times, tried to do a flick and a back pass that just didn't pay off. Usually sometimes those would for him. Not a lot is going for Martin Odegaard right now. But he's got no outlet. His outlet today was Martinelli on the right. And it's kind of predictable because that's the lack of inventiveness I was talking about on the show last week with regards to Mikel Arteta. What is his plan B? We're so used to playing through the right because of Bukayo Saka that now Martinelli's fit, Nwaneri's benched, and he's going with Martinelli on the right, who we know plays a lot better on the left. And it just stifles the creativity, the speed, the movement. Not that we were playing with much speed this season anyway, but as good as Mikel Merino was for his goal, I think we also lack that creativity. Gave the ball away a lot today, but how can you complain, right, when he scored the winning goal? I guess you could, and I'm trying to tread carefully and be careful, but it just felt to me very pedestrian more so. And I don't get it because people complain when Kai Havertz plays that he stifles the speed or the play or he'll push the ball back. And for those same reasons, I think, as good as his header was today and he had a great touch. It was a beautiful header guided right over Sanchez, who's a terrible goalkeeper, and deserved his plaudits, comes in and does the job that Mikel Arteta wants him to do. But for all of that, it just seems against a Chelsea team that do not play in a low block, that we could exploit, that cutting edge just wasn't there. And I know Martinelli needs that match fitness, and Mikel is probably managing his minutes because he's going to feature against Real Madrid. But when you look at what Nwaneri's done in the team, excuse me, and the creativity, sorry, I've been suffering from a cold, the creativity that he brings, but also he takes good shots, and there was a moment, Martinelli, where he gets free on that right side and skies it over the crossbar. You could just see Nwaneri taking a touch with his right and then taking it on his left, a la Saka, and, taking a good shot. And he's proven that he's been doing that. And I thought it was a little bit unfair for him to be dropped today. I don't know what you guys think about that, but let me just get your comments on this one a little bit. That was dreadful, says Richard. Let's see. 1-0. Yeah, we saw that one. Keep it real. Saw that. I like to imagine top four is pretty much wrapped up now. Yeah, I was asked about that on TalkSport. By the way, in the video section, you can see my segment on TalkSport with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. This morning from the breakfast show, Natalie Sawyer asked me if I'm worried about top four. And my response was not really. Winning today would give us a little bit more distance from Nottingham Forest again. And I think that top four, I don't want to say safe because there's still 9 games to go. We don't have an out-and-out goal scorer. Goals aren't coming from our midfield either like they were last season. As good as we are at the back, and I did say like our defense is going to be what carries us through the rest of the season. But there were moments where Saliba gave the ball away today, and David Raya, my goodness, he escaped an absolute howler today. He's been the hero for pretty much a lot of the season, but today he could have been really, really embarrassed, and he got lucky, and you could see the relief from David Raya when that ball just shaved past the post. Crazy stuff. So yeah, let's get some of your comments up. Confused by your headline. Why, KG? Explain. Boring Arsenal. Premier League is a Snorefest. A win is a win. I'm not quite sure what you don't understand about the headline. Football has died in London. We grew up watching Bergkamp to Ozil, Cazorla, Eden Hazard. I spoke about that with Jason Cundy, and some people were like, agreeing with it, and some not. The pizzazz football, and I even wanted to talk about it today. Where is my little note here? Popcorn football is dead. It is so robotic in the Premier League now. Where are those rise to your feet kind of players? Where are the flank dribblers? Where are this season in the Premier League, it has not been great. And I don't want to discredit Liverpool because they've had to play everyone in front of them just like everybody else. And yes, they've been lucky with injuries, and we've been unlucky with injuries. But we had a pretty much fully fit squad last season and couldn't close the deal against a great Manchester City team. But is the Premier League better when Manchester United are crap and Chelsea are crap, and Tottenham are crap? I love the Nottingham Forest story. I think it's great. You can see Bournemouth losing their legs a little bit. Brentford are doing really well. I think it's like 6 wins away from home now for them. But as much as we love the rise of the mid-tier club, I mean, even the excitement of Aston Villa and Newcastle over the last 2 or 3 seasons, they've not been great. I do think that you still need the big clubs, the great teams, to be competitive. And it's stifling. Football is really boring. I'm bored. And I'm sorry, KG, if you disagree with me, but it's just so boring. And yeah, it's always good when Tottenham lose, but I'm so bored of that too. It's just, who cares? They're so shit. I don't care. They lost. Okay, fine. Let's change the narrative just a little bit. Matt says, now we've got 3 points, I can laugh at Spurs. Always good to laugh at Spurs, but they're so bad. The measuring stick these days has really fallen. You guys may think I sound like I'm in a bad mood today. I'm not. I'm just bored of it. There's nothing exciting about the Premier League. Very little. They're trying to sell us a story now on the race for top 4. The promoted teams are absolutely garbage. Southampton are an embarrassment to football. They need 2 points to surpass Derby, who were the worst team ever in Premier League history. They've got 9 points and there's 9 games to go. I mean, it's awful. What are the stories? What are the big stories? Nottingham Forest is probably the best story of the season. Mo Salah has been a joy to watch. He's been great. But you would struggle after Mo Salah to find a competitive player to give him a run for his money for Player of the Year. There's nobody. There's nothing. Zero. Miles Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri are the two best things that have happened at Arsenal this season. And I don't think I'm off on this one. We played, no problem, need to break a sweat against Chelsea. Fofana, we'll get to Fofana. Has Martin Odegaard changed his diet? He seems lighter. There was a rumor going around that he became a vegan, but I don't know how true that is. Just as I talk about who cares about Spurs, all the the Spuds lost messages are coming through. K Marlon, hello to you too. Hey Rich, how you doing? Good place to be, Thailand. You could just go off and have a lovely swim in the ocean and wash away the Snorefest that was Arsenal versus Liverpool. Wes Bird says, I'm spot on. What happened to Trossard? And you know what? Trossard gets to play. Nwaneri gets dropped and Trossard gets to play. I don't understand that. He was awful today. There was one shot in the first half where the ball came out to him, and it was an easy, great shot, and he scuffed it. He's just been bad, but he gets picked. Mikel Arteta is so scared to take risks. He really is. Could have played Martinelli on the left. Okay, you want Mikel Merino up front. I get it. And put Nwaneri on the right, which leads me to believe that Nwaneri has been in this team by default. Some people came at me when I suggested that Nwaneri has been given his opportunities only because of injuries. Miles Lewis-Skelly has nailed down that left-back position, got his opportunity because of injuries, and has stayed in the team. Why aren't we playing Nwaneri? He's been just as good. When you need a point of difference, a creativity, a spark, a player who can change a game on a win. Nwaneri, I know we need to manage his minutes too. Look what's happened to Saka. But he played his last game at 17 years old today. He's going to be 18, I think, this week. He deserved to start this game. And as Martinelli's finding his feet after coming back from injury, it just seemed to me like, not the best decision. Good time. It is good time to go. It's a good time for fans to go on an international break. The atmosphere at the Emirates is so bad. Let's call it as we see it. Here's another negative one for you guys. It's so bad. That's a London derby. And you having Mikel Arteta trying to G up the crowd. Now, you could say, well, what if you're moaning about it, what do you think the fans in the stadium are thinking about it? You go into a game, look what the PSV Eindhoven fans did during the Champions League. They're losing 7-1 and they're singing like they're winning 10-1. I mean, it's just bad. And I know people are going to say it's the Bala, it's the this, it's the tourists and whatever. It's just awful. And, the club have some culpability on that because there was a phenomenal atmosphere. And look, I know some people have huge issue with Ashburton Army, but when the club needed them, they used them to create an atmosphere. And then, of course, there's rumors of an unsavory incident, but that doesn't mean everybody. You don't have to remove all of that. It's crap. They created a vibe and an atmosphere and every other fan came along with it. And now you want to poo-poo them because, there was one idiot among a group. I just don't get it. Let's get some of your comments up. Marino's moving like Joselu was last season. Clutch and a good utility play. Look, he's been decent, but I also think there's moments when we like to play to feet, right? And his mindset is used to playing in the midfield. It's different up front. When you're playing that number 9, your mobility is totally different to the position that he plays in midfield, in where you have to pick up spaces, allow spaces for other players, have a little bit of pace. That's like I said, people complain about Kai being slow, but yeah. Jonathan says he's happy the season is ended soon. I would have brought Zinny on. Maybe he's saving Zinny for Champions League. get a break now, come back. We'll have Real Madrid on the 8th of April. An anagram of your sweatshirt, Sophie, a good description of the game. Yeah, it's a Wyoming shirt. Beautiful part of the United States. Sophie, I need your thoughts on Martinelli from a decision and IQ perspective. I think he's lacking. AJ, funny you should say that. Point number 2 on my little note card today. Martinelli takes bad crosses, gets into great positions, then becomes predictable. This is the part of his game that he hasn't evolved at all. And I've been a huge defender of Martinelli, did an episode where don't make him the new scapegoat, stood by him. He deserves to be able to play out of coming back from injury. Let's see what type of play he is. I thought he was a bright spark in the first half, but his decision-making is really poor. And that hasn't evolved. And you would think at this point in his career that would change. And it hasn't. He's so predictable. I was in the kitchen. He had the ball, and Tony was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to go make a coffee." But you might miss something. I said, "No, I won't." I go, "Here's what's going to happen." It's awful that you actually can predict what's going to happen when Martinelli is on the ball. And that's why I would have gone with Waneri today. And you know, played Martinelli on the left. Are we setting players up to fail as well? Just play them in their positions. You have someone who can play on the right wing. Why are you trying to do the square peg round hole thing here? I don't get it. Jonathan says it sounds like you missed a boring game. Yes. Trossard looks so weak, says Thibaut Pesque. He can't kick a ball anymore. I would let Trossard go in the summer. There, I said it out loud. Just not impressed. For me, Trossard was a super sub, and that was his best impact. That's where he could come on, impact the game, change the game, have this edge, have this bite. And since he's like become a regular starter, and of course that's probably for a default again because of the injuries that we have, he's just not been that great. Yeah. Odegaard is a poor ballerina, says Harvey. He allowed Chelsea to have possession today. Chelsea was super poor. They weren't great, were they? And yeah, I think I'm going to change my thumbnail to Timber. But also Marino deserves some kudos. Tammy's agreeing with Richard. We were very average. Chelsea is so bad. They're not great. They really are not a good team. My goodness, they stank the joint out. The atmosphere sounded like it was in the Emirates Cup game. Totally agree. KG says, delusional fans will call this game boring and lacking movement. It's tactics to play against the lesser teams. But no, let's criticize the centre midfielder playing striker. I have given him praise, KG, that he got the winning goal. And I said some players are being set up to fail. It is not his fault. He's limited in his movement as a central striker. That's my opinion. I'm not pissing on him. You know, and this is a Chelsea team that is very open, not very good. You know, their midfield wasn't great today. They gave the ball away. They fouled, and we'll get to all of that in just a second. They're not great. And without Saka and Havertz, we should still be beating this team at home, and considering our record against them too in the last few games. And points are important at this point of the season. I've said it. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but it's the same every week. And, you know, when you see, it's like when you see one Saw movie or one Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you've seen them all. You know how it's going to end. K. Marlon, VAR was clearly against us. Fofana should have been sent off in the first half. Yes. Sophie, what do you want Marino to do? He's not a centre forward. He got the goal, right? And he did his job. But is it okay for me to say that he's limited in what else we can do in a game? And maybe against Real Madrid, we're going to need a little more up front? That was a shocking match, says Barry. Chelsea was so easy to pass through and we had acres of space. The ball in the final third, the positioning in the final third, it was awful today. It really was. Matt G, I agree with you. Timber is amazing. He's a bargain. He's trying to get I said that, Harvey. Did I not say that at the top of the show? Squaddies, please remember to hit the likes. Here to here, here to there. Ethan has had a bit of a hamstring issue this year. His minutes need to be managed. Yeah, and so do Martinelli's, who's had a lot of injury issues. And I know he needs to get match fit. Nobody understands why Waneri began on the bench. Only Teta knows. 12 points behind Liverpool. Greatest comeback in PL history incoming. Very funny, Matt G. Wesbird, I think that Arteta going forward needs to have the ability to take a different approach, but we are so predictable at the moment, and that's a worry. Ethan, unlucky to be dropped in my humble opinion, but accurate. K. Marlon, Martinelli going forward is one-dimensional. He's predictable. Every defender knows what he's going to do. We agree on something. Seems like we scratched through. We did. Braintails, let's treat this game as training. I think every Premier League match. I said on TalkSport this morning, we need to park the Premier League in a draw, finish second, and focus on making sure every player is fit, lean, fighting machine for Real Madrid. This is boring Arsenal for the rest of the season in the Premier League. Secure second, fine, I don't care. But you're going to have a little bit more in you to play against Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid are the barometer. And the way Diego Simeone plays frustrates Real Madrid. We've tried to be more defensive in our approach going forward this season. So maybe that will frustrate Real Madrid. But when you're going to need an X factor, and you will against Real Madrid, it needs to be better than this. The team managed it well. I'd be happy with a 1-0 against Real Madrid and manage it well to keep a clean sheet. Harvey's angry with me. The plays exist, Sophie, but managers make the plays robotic. Look at the Brazil team. I've been saying popcorn football is dead on pretty much every show in the last 2 weeks. Katie, had KT come on earlier, could have lapped with Trossard, who was often isolated. Marcus, the beautiful flow that Wenger got us hooked on is gone. Boring, rigid play. You know, though, Mikel Arteta was playing sexy football. Not last season, we had a little bit of both. I would say maybe he was a more Arnie Slot. The season prior, we were naive, but we played insane football. We were destroying teams. At halftime, the game was won. We found an intimidation factor again in the tunnel. That's kind of, disappeared a little this season. They can take a leaf from the Springboks rugby team. The lower leagues are more entertaining. I agree. You know what? I had one eye on the Sheffield United game today. Truth. Afternoon all. I'll catch up when I get home and have thawed out. Boring football. Carol, bless you for sending in a message after watching that at the Emirates. Top leagues have the same clubs winning every year. And your point is? Yes, safe journey home. Tebow says, that says, Sophie, we knew the last games would look like that with the injuries. We're underpowered and we'll just have to limp across the line. I'm so tired of limping. Maybe some of you may think I'm being harsh, but it's been boring all season. Let's not pretend this is happening just because we have injuries. It's not. We were boring when Saka and Kai Havertz were playing. We were boring when Odegaard was out injured. We have been boring barring 3 games this season. The Liverpool game at home was great. Manchester City 5-1 was great. PSV in Europe, destruction at its best. But it's just not been entertaining. All of a sudden, we're accepting mediocrity. If we want to move forward, we've got to kind of change our thinking just a little bit. No, it's okay to be critical if you see something that you think is a little kind of, it's so cut and paste. Albert said it on the show last week. Off topic, but why do we take 3 minutes on every set piece free kick? When you score one, I guess it doesn't really matter, Andy. Nothing excited with PL, Sophie. Even Liverpool topping the table is on Salah. PL regression, facts. I totally agree. Wesbird, agree, Sophie. It's hard to watch at the moment in general, but going forward, you didn't want a single team just running away with the league. It's not good for football. I mean, Liverpool fans won't care, right? I blame Pep with his over-possessive tactics. It's, the possession obsession. I talked to Stevie Nicol about it. I talked to Jason about it. I've talked to Henry Winter about it, Sammy Mockbell, all of the really good guests that we've had on in the last 2 or 3 months. Possession obsession. Like it's so technical. Unleash the creativity in the team, in the players. And it's not just Arsenal. Everyone's playing so safe football. Isaac is definitely after Salah. Good call, Gaza. Trevor, good evening. Good to see you. You're a little late. I won't give you a yellow card, though, because everyone will just say I'm in a foul mood. But, Arsenal are boring. Better to watch Crystal Palace, Brighton, or Fulham. Yeah. Albert, Sophie, I'm just about still awake after that. My God, just end the Premier League season now. I agree with you, Albert. Odegaard would be a better 8 and bring in an attacking clinical 10. People keep talking about the striker position. We need a striker. That's what's going to change everything. No. I think we need, I think we all agree, is Trossard going to be there next season? How's Martinelli going to fare? That left side, I think we need someone. Thomas Partey, Jorginho, 2 midfielders, right? Calafiori, injury prone. Going to need backup for the centre-backs. Kivior probably won't be there. You got Benjamin White and Timber who can play on the right. You got Timber who can play on the left. Miles Lewis-Skelly. Probably need another right-back. Maybe. Can't be overplaying Timber. Can't be overly reliant on burning him out. He's way too important. He's such a good player, Timber. He really is. I mean, he's a special player. By my calculation, we are 2 games off St. Totteringham's Day. I think you can celebrate that now, runs with cows, for sure. North London forever puke. The good thing about that today was on the American broadcast on NBC, they cut out the beginning. So you only heard... Sorry, not sorry. I think he will play. And I think that he will have an impact against Real Madrid. But his decision-making needs to be better. Because he can, on his day, terrorize players. Stephen Nichols said on this show many times that when Arsenal play Liverpool, 2 players he always looked at is Saka playing, is Martinelli playing. They used to put fear in teams. We're not doing that anymore. We're just not. Marine, yeah, he probably is. What is Mikel doing differently? Where's the inventiveness to handle the adversity cloud? Where is it? Marino up front, we've seen it now for how many games? That's not going to change. I don't think so. And maybe he's right in a sense that it's very physical, that position. You can't be throwing Martinelli in as the number 9, people. He'll get eaten alive. Trossard has proven he's not good in that position. I think Waneri's probably the stronger, lower sense of gravity as well, but you want him on the right, being able to be nimble, creative, take on players. I don't see what the other option is. I really don't. And if Mikel Arteta had one, then maybe he would have done it by now. Martinelli has little support with no centre forward. It's not his fault. So you guys were saying the same thing about Martinelli when everyone was fit earlier on in the season. Some fans want him sold in the summer. Good value in the marketplace. Let's take money for Martinelli because there's no improvement. I mean, I don't understand. Let's see. Rich, Martinelli's decision-making in the final third has always been questionable. He gets away with it because of his tremendous work rate. Yes, it's duels, right? We won this amount of duels. We won the ball in, we had the ball the most amount of time in a game. The possession obsession, the tracking back. It wears and tears on players, though, too. It's not a coincidence that our front 3 all had hammies this season. It isn't. I don't know of a team. Maybe Mo Salah is the only player, maybe Haaland, that are told, don't worry about the defensive stuff as much. It's boring. So if you don't stay on too long and go watch a decent game of football with the League Cup final, I'm going to end this soon. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Hit the like button. It costs nothing. And I know that to some of you, I might be sounding negative right now, but I'm just truth speaking, my truth. And, you know, this is why I'm enjoying doing one-on-one interviews with people to talk about things outside of the tactics and, you know, talk a little bit about football and the narrative at large. I mean, what is there to be excited about right now in the Premier League? Very little. In the Champions League, can go at it all day. Between now and April 8th, I will go all in on talking about this match against Real Madrid. That's exciting. And I'm curious to see what we're going to do. Check out the show with Lee Judges. We talked about it after the PSV game. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty of time to talk about that. And I'm really excited. I'm excited for the players, the fans, the club. We're playing the Kings of Europe. We're in the limelight in the Champions League. We've been craving this forever and ever. We've been sitting there in front of our TVs being like, I want to play in big games like this. And here they are. We had one last year against Bayern Munich. We got one this year against Real Madrid. This is the moment. This is the time to shine. And you never know what can happen in football. You really don't. You know, we saw a poor Chelsea team with injuries, you know, beat Barcelona in the final. We've seen teams like Porto win the Champions League. You know, I'm not all negative today. Jeff, he likes a good moan. He's always having a pop at me on YouTube comments, is Jeff. Yeah, he's a charmer, is Jeff. He was better, I thought. I just thought some of his passing wasn't as great. It's been lackluster all season. We were being called Stoke for a while because we couldn't score from open play. David, we have been boring since the season began. With that, yes, I agree. Totally agree. In fairness to us being boring, we looked amazing 2 seasons ago. And I said that. Sometimes I wonder if you guys are actually... It's like that scene in White Men Can't Jump. I know you're listening, but can you hear me? Papa, can you hear me? Name the film. We need somebody who is free pressing, defending duties, but Arteta's tactics don't allow it. And I think it's okay to question it. And Jeff, this is where I might agree. There is a sense of arrogance. I said this a little while ago, and I got killed for it. We missed the cutting edge of Sterling today. Very nice, Greek commander. Very nice. What is happening with Raya? He's been making too many mistakes of late. He's been one of our best players this season. He saved us in the second half against Manchester United. But yes, you know, he got lucky today. He got very lucky. But against Manchester United, he made up for the error on the Bruno Fernandes free kick. So, yeah. Time for Trossard to go. I think so. He's just... We could do better than Trossard. Let's all be honest, right? Whether it's, you know, a Nico Williams, whether a player like that, and, you know, his dream is to go to Barcelona, but we can upgrade. This is the thing that we shouldn't be afraid of as Arsenal fans. And we knew that there would come a time when we'd have good players that we fell in love with, that at some point would be valuable in the marketplace and would make sense to go because they do a good job at a time, but we can upgrade them later on. See filed under Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, Kieran Tierney, now Trossard for me, potentially for some of you, Martinelli. I don't think I'm ready to give up on Gabby just yet. These things happen. Upgrading is important to stay on the edge of football. This is what Sir Alex Ferguson was absolutely brilliant at doing. Oh, you think Yap Stam's the man? See ya. Oh, yeah, David Beck, see ya. You've got to be ruthless. You can't be like mollycoddling, and we need more. If you want to win, you need more. That's what I think anyway. Squaddies, remember to hit the like button. Likes on the way out if you haven't already. Let's see. What else have we got here? Wonton soup. Oh, I'm hungry. and, it's cold here and it's a little rainy, I could easily muller a soup right now. Part of the reason I want Rosicky as sporting director is I feel like he would help out. No, friends. We need Arteta to feel under pressure. He has done a tremendous job revitalizing and bringing the Arsenal back. Process, progress. Now we need success. I've said this on the show many times before. He needs to feel someone breathing down his neck. I don't think that he's had that. It's been very comfortable. Sure, you'll feel pressure managing at high-level situations, but no, cut the cord. We need ruthlessness. And Berta has come from a club that is ruthless, has a ruthless manager, and he can infuse a new culture when it comes to the transfer market. That is what we need. We need the same way we needed the impetus of Adu and Mikel to revitalize the club, the fans, the profile and the DNA of the players. We need a reboot in our transfer strategy, how we tackle our objectives, and our overall philosophy. We need to be a selling club, much, much better selling club. We need to get the best value for our players and not give away players for free. We need to be much more, we need to manifest the art of the deal when it comes to salaries. That has gotten a little out of hand. They're not performing surgery, brain surgery, saving lives. They're footballers. Don't get me on the monetization side of the game. It's gotten a little distasteful for me. Haaland's on $1 million a week or something. Really? And they're kicking a football around and everyone's crap this season and they're earning a ton of money. It's, crazy. It's a little bit crazy to me. I think that football needs to be really, really careful. It really does. And it's because of stupid decisions as well that I believe is making the traditional old school fan fall out of love. And I want to end on the referee because that I am not the type of fan that complains too much about VAR. Hi, Donna Potts. How you doing? Good to see you. Dan Potts Raid. Thank you so much, Potsy. Hello, everyone. Welcome from Potsy's Raid. Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm not one that complains, but this season, I think that we've definitely had decisions not go our way. Now, this drives me mental, okay? How can VAR look at what Fofana did to Declan Rice and not do anything about it? How can Fofana stay on the pitch for as long as he did? It's unbelievable to me. It took a first half and half of the second half for him to actually get a yellow card. He stamped on Declan Rice. I lost count how many challenges. It was almost like he was goading the referee to send him off because maybe he wanted a weekend away or something. This is what makes fans go nuts. And this is where fans aren't nuts. They have every reason to question the integrity of the game. Keith Hackett was on this show, and I'm going to try and bring Keith back this week to talk about what's changed since the Michael Oliver incident at Wolves. And I would say nothing much. Michael Oliver goes on and continues to referee matches with no penalties whatsoever. And in fact, PGMOL come out with statements to try and undermine Arsenal's response to all of this. Fine us for surrounding the referee. What other club has been fined this season for surrounding the referee? You help me, you tell me. These are the decisions that I think fans have every single right to bemoan. And the inconsistency in football is killing football. And Kavanagh today, seriously, I mean, we should have had a penalty. Every single commentator, every single person, even opposing fans said that was a clear penalty. They didn't even look at it. They didn't even look at it. And yeah, we've been rubbish at times this season. Yes, we have injuries. Yes, Mikel's football is totally pedestrian. He doesn't have a plan B. He just keeps rinsing the players and they get injured. I get all of that. But the officiating in the Premier League is a joke, and there's too much at stake. There's way too much at stake. You've got title contenders, you've got teams trying to get into Europe. They're lucky the relegation battle is just, a foregone conclusion. But it's pathetic. I was actually so angry. It was pathetic. And Kavanagh and Oliver and all of these buddies and the cronies and Howard Webb and everyone over at PGMOL, take a look at yourselves. Why aren't they held to higher account? They're not. Keith Hackett said it as well, protecting their buddies. Finally, somebody who's unafraid, somebody who ran PGMOL and was the boss over there, FIFA referee, a student of the game, is telling you that they protect their mates too much. And if you missed that episode, I would go listen to it, the Keith Hackett episode, because he was brilliant. And I'm going to reach out to Keith and try and bring him back. Okay, I was being facetious. I'm sure there are other teams. So many more should, right, Steve? Not just Liverpool and Everton and us. This happens every single week. Every single week in football. Exactly, Donna. So many could. It's crazy. He's such an annoying player. If he's your player, you like him. Cucurella, Bruno Fernandes, some of these players. Just so annoying. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I encourage people to go watch that for sure. Fofana was a hatchet man today. How did he escape? It's amazing to me. And then the challenge on the edge of the box, which, by the way, when are we going to take a good free kick outside the edge of the box? Who's going to be that player? We're awful at taking free kicks where you see like Bruno Fernandes score, right? We're just so awful at taking free kicks like that. I would start letting Waneri have a go. Boy says VAR judges are different, Soph. It's not just an urban legend. Agree with you. David says Fofana should have been sent off in the first half. Thank you, Football with Sam, for joining. And please go hit the like button, squaddies, for Dan's show today. And if you're not subscribed to 12th Man Podcast, please go do that. Yeah, crazy stuff. Arsenal have always been bad at selling for as long as I can remember. We do sell, sure, but we only get pennies. Agree with you, Bacon Fang. What a great name, by the way. He won't be afraid to if he doesn't get backed. What I like about this move with Berta, Uncle Terence, is that it evens the playing field and maybe takes away a little bit of power from the manager who shouldn't have or yield the most power in a club. Maybe when they've won trophies, like big ones, I can understand that. Like, it was inevitable that Wenger would have all that power. He changed, like George Graham, changed the fortunes of the club, took us to a totally different level, changed English football, Arsene Wenger. He just didn't change Arsenal, he changed English football. But yeah, I don't think that having a mate, this doesn't sit well with me. I was so glad at the final whistle, says Tiger and Guna. Yes, hello to you too. Here we are. We beat Chelsea 1-0. Good stuff. Real quick, do you guys have a player of the match? I would love to know if you guys have a player of the match. And then I would also like your marks for Mikel Arteta as well. Who is your player of the match? You choose the player of the match, the majority, and then the thumbnail becomes the player of the match that the squaddies have chosen, and 12th man listeners also get involved as well. Our chief like officer, please do hit the like button. Remember, it costs you nothing, says Timber. Ian says Gabrielle. Gabrielle, there you are. Ezra says Raya was lucky. Oh, he was so lucky. That could have been really embarrassing. Ooh, that would have been bad. Arteta gets a 6.5 from our chief like officers. Steve Stone says MLS is the man of the match. Timber shaking hands. Marino. Uncle Terence gives Mikel 4 out of 10. Hector says Big Gabby. Jeff says Timber. Wesbird says probably Timber, Partey, or Gabriel. Partey? Not for me. He was all right, but not player of the match, Wesbird. You and I are usually on the same page, but no. Kevin says Martinelli will come back to top form again. I would keep him. I would keep him too. David says Timber, player of the match. Timber says Richard. I knew I should have put Timber. That's what my gut was telling me. But you know, squaddies, you underline it. Yama says Marino because he gets the winning goal. He's in the mix, right? Deserves the shout out. Timber. Arteta gets a 4 out of 10. PW says Gabrielle. Richard gives Arteta 4. Tiger and Guna says Timber as the man of the match. Timber or MLS for me. Miles Lewis Skelly is so special, man. That boy is fearless. And now I'm fearful because he's been called up by England. They better take care of that boy. I tell you something. As much as we want our players to do well and excel and become kind of world class and, you know, be in the narrative of English football, I do not want them playing for England and getting tired and seeing the Saka story unfold. You better look after him, Tuchel. Play Jordan Henderson at left back. Jordan Henderson making the England team is a bit of a joke, isn't it? I swear it worries me. It really does. But we can't wrap up players in bubble wrap. We have to set them free, and playing for England is a dream. And we wish Miles Lewis Skelly the absolute best. But my goodness, I really hope that they take care of him. He's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you know what? These two boys have been the story of the season. They really have. Miles Lewis Skelly is a proven baller now. He's solidified that left-back position. We spent a lot of money on Calafiori, but we had a boy in our own backyard who's become a man this season. And yeah, you know, he's got a lot to learn about his discipline. However, you can't stop him playing the way he plays. They said that about Rooney as well. You take that spark out of them, you take a piece of their DNA away from them too. But Miles Lewis Skelly has been nothing but a beautiful, beautiful story. And that the story of the evolution of Hale End, this group, this crop, they're special. They're not cut from the Maitland-Niles, Reece Nelson, Emil Smith-Rowe, Charlie Patino cloth. They're cut from the Saka cloth. And we need to make sure that they're taken care of. And I know that I wanted Nwaneri to start today, and part of me also has to be measured, you know, about managing his minutes too. But I can't wait for what Arsenal looks like built around these three players. This is the future. Miles Lewis Skelly, Saka. Let's pray Saka comes back the same player. You know, we've seen players struggle when they come back from a hammy surgery. And I don't want him rushed back. I really don't. You know, definitely not for the Premier League. If, you know, we manage to make the impossible possible by passing Real Madrid, you know, then look to that. But he needs match fitness. He's been out since December 21st. He's had a serious surgery. Saka needs to be protected at all costs. It's like in that old movie from the 80s. Some of you might be too young for this, but The Golden Child, where Eddie Murphy had to like protect the golden child at any cost. Look after him. Right. That is all I have time for today. Thank you so much for the 12th Man podcast raid. Really appreciate that very, very much. Hit the like button. on the way out, I would really appreciate that too. Time is precious, and I appreciate you taking it away from friends and family to listen to Highbury Squad for just a little bit and keeping me company today. Yeah, I wasn't so happy-go-lucky today, but I just say what I feel. And Premier League, very boring, pedestrian. Champions League, maybe that's our style, and maybe that's our formula. And we've certainly put all of our eggs in the Champions League basket this season. Let's hope and pray that every single Arsenal player who has gone off to international duty comes back injury-free. We already are struggling, and we're challenged, and we have adversity. We do not need any more casualties at the Arsenal. So look after yourselves and send a little prayer out there for all of our gunners going off to play for their countries. And in the meantime, during that international break, I'll keep you posted on the community page on the old X for what is coming up. I think we'll all take advantage and have a couple days off as well. And in the meantime, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. And remember, if you're in London, there's still just a few tickets left for the Andrew Cole, Alan Smith, Paul Davis, Lee Dixon evening. That is in association with AISA and the Kevin Campbell Foundation. All right, so go grab those. If you missed Monday Madness with Jason Cundy, it's still a relevant listen, and I think he was spot on about today's game. No doubt about that. If you missed the show with Lee Judges on Real Madrid and the Champions League, please go give a listen to that. And I also posted my segment today from TalkSport with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Always appreciate the support. Love you, squaddies. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. At ease, everyone. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Some of your comments up before.